Okay, so I'm going to be making chai today, and I was going to show you how to do it. So this is what you need. You need a piece of ginger about yay big, okay? Cardamom pods, they are whole pods. Cinnamon sticks, I use the giant ones. Whole cloves, 12 tea bags, I use Lipton Black. You need a vegetable peeler, a colander, and a 1-gallon pitcher if you're going to be quadrupling the recipe like I do. Okay, so I have to peel the ginger. It's very exciting and also kind of a pain because ginger is not flat. So you get all these little crevices that aren't very easy to peel. So I'm not a big fan of peeling the ginger, but you know, you do what you gotta do. But I usually end up like cutting the piece to make it a bit easier. And if it, and if it has any like knobby things on it, I usually just end up peeling those off. This is not particularly exciting, so you can, I don't know. Do you want... Okay, now I have my peeled ginger, and I'm going to chop this up. So I think in the recipe it might say that the ginger is grated. I don't grate the ginger, I just chop it. So first I slice, and then I just sort of, I basically slice and dice, yeah. And so I don't get the pieces insanely tiny. I think the smaller the pieces of ginger, maybe the more ginger forward the batch tends to be. But I don't know, I think I tend to go not super crazy with how small the pieces are, but not giant pieces either. Somewhere in the middle. So I think somewhere around here. And so then I add these pieces to a giant pot. I mean, maybe not giant, but you know, a decent sized pot, because it has to make a gallon worth of tea, so. All right. Next, I can just sort of throw in the 4 cinnamon sticks. And then comes the fun part, which is crushing the cardamom pods. So you can pause it. All right, so I portioned out my cardamom pods, and it's basically, so it's 6 per recipe, and since I'm quadrupling it, I tend to group them because that way I make sure I have the right amount. And then the best part is to crush them, because then it makes that fun little snappy sound, and I really enjoy that. So you kind of push them so that they crack open, and I just double check that they're actually open. I don't know that it matters, but that's just what I do. And if it doesn't crack, then I'm... Oh, flying cardamom! Oh, oh, oh. Okay. So sometimes they're a little bit tougher to crack. And so when that happens, I just change the angle, and then it cracks. And really, this is the best part. It's so fun. And they just sort of snap. Okay, and then I just dump this whole thing into the pot. Now the cloves, okay. Oh, is this a rogue one? Sure. Okay. The cloves I'm very weird about because I love cloves. It's like my favorite thing, so I add way more than I'm supposed to. I count 2 as 1. So I put in 1, even though that's 2. And then I count to 12. This is 5. I always count out loud. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then because I love cloves, I just dump the rest in there too. Because I just want to make sure I get at least the right amount. And then I add more because cloves are delicious. And then I come over to the sink and I add 12 cups of filtered water, which you don't really need to show. But all right, and that's 12 cups of filtered water, and I'm going to keep the 1 cup thing because I'm also going to be measuring the milk in that later when it gets to that point. So then we bring this whole thing to a boil, and I usually grab my long spoon at this point as well, just to give everything a little stir. And so then we're going to wait for that to come to a boil. So while you're waiting for the water to boil, you can get your coconut sugar measured out. I usually do roughly a cup-ish. And then I also took the time to clean up my work area, wash the dishes and all that. So that's a good use of your time while you're waiting for the water to boil. Okay, so as you can see, it's starting to get up to the point where it's boiling. So I like to give it another little stir, get everything mixed around, and then I cover the pot, reduce the heat to about a simmer, and then I set the timer for 15 minutes. So it's been 15 minutes. I'm never in a hurry to stop the whole like simmering process, because the way I see it, if it simmers a little bit more, then that's okay. So I wait the 15 minutes before I bother getting the tea bags ready. But the next step is to steep the tea. In order to quadruple the recipe, you have to use 12 tea bags. So I'm going to take out, if I can, take out the 12 tea bags, and then I uncover the pot. Yep. Oh my goodness, flying spoons today.
Careful.
Yeah. Okay, so I give it another stir, because there tends to be, I'm not sure if it's from the cinnamon or what it's from, but there tends to get like a ring of like something around it that I always end up having to stir out. And then this is where you kill the heat, and I add the tea bags. So when I add the tea bags, I always have to just make sure I space them out so they're not sitting on top of each other. I don't know if that actually matters, but again, that's just what I do. And so then I kind of just put them around. And once I'm done with this, I'll show you what I do. And once I get to 12, I push the tea bags in to make sure that they're in the water and they're not sitting on top of each other. And then I put the lid on and let it steep for 5 minutes with the heat off. All right, it's been 5 minutes. So now I always add the sugar before I remove the tea bags, because I want to give the sugar a chance to dissolve a bit more. And also it gives me an excuse to let the tea steep just a couple moments longer. But then comes my least favorite part, and I haven't figured out the best way to do this, but removing the tea bags. So when I remove the tea bags, I like to squeeze them out for obvious reasons, maximum flavor. But I always end up burning my hands. So if I haven't washed my knife. Sometimes I'll use the knife to help me squeeze it, but otherwise I just end up with slightly charred fingers and I suck it up and deal with it. Okay, so now the tea bags are all squeezed out and it's time to add the milk. I always and forever will use Chobani Extra Creamy. And it's not a promotional video, but I'm telling you, it makes a difference. So I add 6 cups. I don't know why this is so leaky. I'm making a mess. So this is 3, I think. This is why I count out loud. And I'm gonna need to go get another carton of this because it turns out that 6 cups of oat milk is kind of a lot. 4. So that's 5, and then my last cup, 6. Give everything a nice stir. Whoa. Preferably don't spill everything like I tend to do. And notice I still have all the spices in there. That's what the colander is for. So when I'm done stirring, which I'm about to be, I'm going to use the same measuring cup to fill my pitcher. Okay. So the colander is going to filter out all of our yummy spices. The kitchen smells amazing, by the way. All of those spices just fill the room. And it's delightful. Okay, and I'm also crazy, and I squeeze out the cinnamon sticks because I feel like there's some cinnamony goodness that must come from that. So that's another little secret of mine. And once the pot gets relatively empty, I speed things along a little bit. And if I'm not in too big of a hurry, I can do that without making a giant mess. And if I'm also not in too big of a hurry, I will kind of push the colander down a little bit to get the extra juices that might be trapped in the spices. And voila, you end up with a big, beautiful pitcher of delicious chai tea. Have a fabulous day.